How much are you looking at the smartphone cycle, and how much are you looking at Apple as the juggernaut in a market that is completely dominated by the iPhone?
Yeah, if you look at from Apple's point of view, it doesn't really go up and down in terms of cyclicality based on what's happening in the smartphone market because it's a higher price point product, and people who buy that really don't change their buying habits. They buy it when they need it. But frankly speaking, this is going to be a very boring quarter for Apple when it comes to new iPhone shipments because next quarter is or next month is when the next iPhone is going to be launched. And that really spurs the big upgrade cycle that will come in the December quarter. So really, it's, from our side, it's going to be a bit boring when it comes to Apple. I think what we really want to hear about it, have we seen a rebound in the services business? That's where the higher margin is. That's where some of the growth is. But overall, I'm not expecting any major surprises on the upside or the downside for Apple.
Has too much been baked in, though, with respect to hopes of some sort of artificial intelligence announcement or a new product? Is this basically something that can't really meet the expectations that the stock rally has given it?
No, I don't think there is a AI story here per se, in a sense that they're not going to be launching any new products. What's going to happen with Apple is a lot of their, the operating system will have new enhancements, which they always do every year. That will have new capabilities, something like live transcription. When you ask Siri some questions, it's going to get smarter over time. But that's a natural progression of just the product development. We are not expecting any major AI announcement for either from Apple or from Amazon.
Meanwhile, at Amazon, people are looking very much to cloud spending at a time when there were some questions around that with Microsoft and Azure. How much are you looking at that specifically to understand what companies are willing to spend to build out some of their cloud services at a time when there have been sort of conflicting signals?
Yeah, we are not expecting cloud to be strong or rebound. We actually think they even may guide to slower growth next quarter. But having said that, probably next quarter could be an area where we see the bottom of this growth rate, and that we can perhaps start looking for a rebound over the next 12 months. Largely is a factor of easier comparisons. But when it comes to cloud usage, I think we all know that IT spending has been slowing down for some time. Microsoft, I think, partially the reason the stock had a negative reaction was because people were expecting a rebound in those sales, and we are not seeing that at this point.
So given that, how much is their other business really doing well at a time when we are seeing some questions around the delivery services? I'm thinking about Uber, for example, which their down spot really was the freight, this issue of packages just not being in the same kind of number as they used to be.
Shopify reported last night, and they showed really good GMV growth. I think Amazon should report a similar number in the sense of growth rate compared to last year. Given as big they are, the size of the growth may not be even close to that. But frankly speaking, from Amazon's point of view, the investments they made during the pandemic on shipping will start to see benefits. We are already starting to see benefits in some regions of the country, but shipping is going to be a big differentiator for them over the next 2 to 3 years.
So a lot of people are paying a very close attention to everything that Amazon and Apple have to say, in large part because they are such behemoths in the indexes. They account for a significant portion of the total. And there's a question, especially as you say, everything's going to be pretty much in line. What's going to move the needle in a way that could shift sentiment for the entire market in a meaningful way?
See, I would say the entire tech market has been fueled by a lot of optimism around AI and what it could do. But frankly speaking, these two companies are not taking part on a lot of those discussions, largely because Microsoft has a very close relationship with OpenAI and ChatGPT because it runs on Microsoft's backend. But for Amazon, they really need to come out and talk about what is going to be their best strategy going forward in terms of allowing people to build more AI applications on their platform. From Apple's point of view, they have to come out and tell people that they're not going to see any more supply chain hiccups in the next 3 months, which is, obviously the most important quarter going into next year for them is the fourth quarter of calendar year this year. That is really the thing that we are looking for to make sure that there are no problems for the new iPhone Pro or the Pro Max when it comes out and people can buy it at the right time.
What are you expecting to hear from Apple about China at a time when they are looking to that for part of the expansion? And we heard the opposite story from Qualcomm.
Yeah, from a China point of view, again, I think last year was a point where they had really bad sales in that area because of some COVID-related stuff. This year we think there should be again a rebound over there because the numbers were so low in calendar fourth quarter of last year. We should see a rebound over there. Once again, from a Chinese consumer point of view, people who can afford to buy a Burberry bag or an LV bag, they are the ones who are buying the higher end iPhone models. And the rumor is that the new iPhone 15 Pro Max, which is the highest of the high end, will have a phenomenal camera. And our analysts in Asia think that's going to be a big growth driver for the Chinese smartphone market from the higher end point of view.
So these last two big tech companies will really wrap up the entirety of the FANG, or the FanMag stocks, as I like to call them. What's going to be the big takeaway as we assess all of their earnings as a whole?
See, for me, the big takeaway is that the AI story is real, but it's going to take several years to play out. It's not going to be that in 2 quarters you're going to start seeing massive revenue upside. And Microsoft, I think, is the biggest example because in the software world, they are perceived to be the biggest beneficiary of this. But with that big rally in the last 6 months, the stock only was down 3-4% after the earnings. So I think people are getting the point that it is going to take some time for that revenue to be recognized. Yeah. And I think that's the big story for all of us.